What up guys, it's James. I know this video is a little late considering it's mid-February, but today I will be doing my combined January book haul / wrap-up, since all the books I read in January are also in this haul, so two birds, one stone. Let's go. First up, we have Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This book was described as Hunger Games meets Ender's Game. It's a sci-fi dystopian type novel that is set on Mars. Now, the sci-fi genre isn't one I typically read too much of, but this one had a lot of hype, very popular on BookTube and everywhere else it seemed, so I definitely wanted to check it out. This is actually the first book I read in 2015, and it was phenomenal. It was amazing. Lots of other adjectives for it. This book definitely surprised me in a good way, and it was definitely not what I was expecting going into it initially. Now, I'm planning to do a full review on this book, hopefully next week, but so far with my track record, don't hold me to it, but we're going to make a goal for doing that. I'm definitely going to talk more about this and go into a lot more detail, because it's amazing. It was so amazing that I had to quickly get the sequel, Golden Sun, which came out on January 6th. I also read this one last month as well, and as sequels go, it was freaking awesome. The action was to a whole nother level, and it kept you on the edge of your seat the entire time, and yeah, I can't really go into any more details on this book unless you've read the first one, and then I still don't want to spoil anything, so if you haven't read this series by Pierce Brown, go find it, go check it out. It's so good. Next up is the Splintered series by A.G. Howard. I actually discovered this series thanks to Sarah Churchill. All I knew about it going in was that it was kind of a darker take on the Alice in Wonderland story. The story follows Alyssa, who is the great-great-great-granddaughter of the original Alice from Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and how she gets drawn back into this world, which is far more disturbing and creepy than the original stories let on. Although I'm not a huge fan of the original Alice in Wonderland stories, including like the animated movies and stuff growing up, it just wasn't my thing. I was really intrigued to read this one, and after I found out that the author is from my hometown, go figure, I had to definitely check it out, and I really enjoyed it. It was a fun story, it had great pacing, it had really amazing world building, and it was definitely a much darker and kind of twisted take, very kind of inspired by Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland kind of take on it, and I really liked it. Of course, I also picked up Unhinged, the second book in the series, and the third book, Ensnared, which was released in January, the final book in the trilogy. I will hopefully get to finish these other two books in the near future, as of right now I've only read the first one. I did get the opportunity to go to the Ensnared book signing as well, and got to meet the author, which was awesome. The final two books I read in January were actually graphic novels, and those are Saga Volumes 1 and 2 by Brian K. Vaughan and illustrated by Fiona Staples. I'd been wanting to check out more graphic novels, and there was a lot of buzz surrounding this series, so I definitely wanted to check it out. It is very much a sci-fi meets fantasy kind of storyline, which was actually a lot of fun to read. The artwork also was incredible. You can kind of see from, I don't know if that's good or not. Not going to show you anything inside of it because it is a very mature storyline, as in there's sex scenes and it's kind of graphic, so definitely for more of a mature audience, but still highly recommend it. I read these within like a day. I just need the other two now that are out, so hopefully soon. Next up, I have books 1 and 2 of the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. First up, we have Cinder and Scarlet. These are very popular retellings of some classic fairy tales with a more of a sci-fi twist to them. As for this one, it follows the basic storyline of Cinderella from what I've heard, only Cinder, as she is in the story, is a cyborg. I really don't know much more than that, other than that I grew up with the classic Disney fairy tales and the different stories, and so I think it would be fun to kind of get into a more modern take on them. So I look forward to reading these soon. Now I have a book that is very popular on BookTube and just everywhere else, and for some reason I hadn't read it yet. Mainly because I hadn't owned it yet. And that is Eleanor Park by Rainbow Rowell. I hear about her books all the time on BookTube, and I almost feel bad that I haven't read anything by her, so I'm remedying that right now, actually. I'm currently Well, I'm not very far into it, but hopefully in the near future I will be remedying the fact that I have not read a Rainbow Rowell book, especially Eleanor Park. The story is basically about two star-crossed misfits who meet and kind of blossom some sort of a relationship during one school year in the mid-80s. So as of right now, it's already a bunch of kind of fun pop culture references, and so I'm very curious to kind of see where the story goes. Next up, we have another new release from January, and that is The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black. And since I'm recording this so late in the month, I've actually already read this one. This book is about a girl named Hazel and her brother Ben who live in a town where humans and fae kind of coexist. There is a mysterious coffin in the woods that holds a beautiful horned boy with pointed ears that's been sleeping there for generations and has become quite the local tourist attraction, and he has just woken up. And things just get crazy from there. I just love Holly Black's writing, starting ever since I read the Spiderwick Chronicles until now. I think she has a great way of creating these fantasy worlds filled with fairies and other mythical creatures. Plus, it's nice to just read a standalone fantasy novel and not have to look forward to all sorts of sequels. Although, if she was to write one for this one, I'd gladly pick it up because I did really enjoy it. And look at this cover. It's nice and it's pretty, and I'm being weird. Okay, next up we have Reality Boy by A.S. King. I actually haven't read anything by A.S. King, but I discovered this one while browsing Barnes & Noble, and the cover design, which I thought was pretty awesome, caught my eye, and the story sounded interesting, so I picked it up. It's about this boy who is a former child star. His mother invited reality TV crew into their home when he was 5 years old. This book takes place, I believe, 12 years after that, and you get to see kind of his different emotional and anger issues that have spawned from that life of being thrown into the spotlight at an early age. The final physical book I bought in January is J.M. Barrie's Peter Pan. I'm sure most people will know the story of the boy who never grew up. I've actually always been fascinated by the story of Peter Pan and have watched all the many different variations of films based on the original story by J.M. Barrie, but I've actually never read the book. But since I am doing the TBR challenge created by Kat from Cattastic this year, at some point I will have to read a classic, so, because I don't really own any classics besides this now, so I need to remedy that. Also, speaking of film adaptations, have you guys checked out the trailer for the new movie Pan coming out later this year, starring Hugh Jackman, Garrett Hedlund, and Rooney Mara? Because if you haven't, you can check out the trailer. I will link it below. I think that movie looks incredible. I am really looking forward to it, which kind of always makes me nervous because it looks amazing and I don't want to be disappointed. But we shall see, because I think it looks really awesome. So yes, go check out the trailer below. And the final book I got for January is actually an ebook, and that is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. Like so many other books, I've heard about this one from numerous people on BookTube, and I found it for really cheap, and so I got it. I really didn't know what this book was about until I looked it up to film this video, and it was not what I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting, but it's not what I thought it was about at all. Whatever that means. It is actually about a girl who is a clairvoyant, but in the year 2059, that is illegal. She gets taken away to a secret prison where she encounters a race of creatures who wish to control her abilities and those like her. The second book, The Mime Order, actually came out at the end of January as well. So I look forward to checking this book out at some point this year. We'll see. So that is my book haul and wrap up for the month of January. If you enjoyed that, please give it a big thumbs up. I always appreciate that. Feel free to leave a comment below. Make sure you check me out on all my different social media sites. Those are linked below as well. And of course, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. And I will see you guys with a new video, I promise, on Friday. I'll see you guys next time. Later.